Poor girl returns the billionaire's missing wallet, not knowing it was a test. The rain had been pouring for hours. People rushed past the downtown sidewalks. Umbrellas clashing, shoes splashing through puddles. But amid the chaos, a young woman in a soaked thrift store coat bent down quietly, her hands trembling slightly. There, lying near the curb beside a sleek black limousine, was a leather wallet, expensive, heavy, and soaked from the rain. Her name was Lena Carter, 22 years old, working 2 jobs, barely affording her college tuition. Her sneakers were worn, her fingers numb, and she hadn't eaten anything since morning. She looked around. No one seemed to have dropped it. She opened it just to check for an ID. Inside were thick stacks of $100 bills, several platinum cards, and a business card embossed with gold letters. Alexander Grant, CEO, Grant Global Holdings. Her heart raced. Everyone in New York knew that name. Alexander Grant was one of the wealthiest and most respected men in America, a billionaire known for his ruthless business strategies. For a moment, temptation whispered, "This money could pay rent. Feed me for months, cover tuition." But Lena's mother had always told her, "Integrity is what you do when no one's watching." She took a deep breath, snapped the wallet shut, and made her decision. The security guards at Grant Global laughed when she arrived, drenched and shivering. "People try to meet Mr. Grant every day," one sneered. "You think he'll come down for a lost wallet?" Lena didn't argue. She just placed it on the counter and said softly, "Please, make sure he gets it. Everything's inside." Then she left quietly, without even waiting for a thank you. The next morning, Lena walked into the coffee shop where she worked, exhausted but calm. Her coworker, Mia, was staring at her wide-eyed. "Lena, do you have any idea what's all over the news?" she whispered. Spinning her phone around, on the screen was a headline, "Billionaire Alexander Grant tests public honesty. Only one person passed." Lena's stomach dropped. The video showed the moment she handed the wallet to the guard. Hidden cameras had captured it all. Mr. Grant had intentionally dropped his wallet in several locations across the city. Dozens of people had picked it up. Only one returned it untouched. Her. That afternoon, a sleek black car pulled up in front of the coffee shop. A tall man in an immaculate gray suit stepped out, Alexander Grant himself. The cafe went silent. He smiled warmly and said, "Miss Carter, I believe you returned something of mine." Lena froze. Yes, sir. I just thought," he raised a hand gently. "You thought right. I was testing something I've been losing faith in lately, honesty." Then, to her astonishment, he slid a thick envelope across the counter. "That's a scholarship, full tuition, and a job offer. My company needs people like you, people who do the right thing even when no one's watching." Tears welled in Lena's eyes. She couldn't speak, only whisper a trembling, "Thank you." Months later, Lena walked through the glass doors of Grant Global, not as a customer, but as an intern. She worked harder than anyone, earning respect from the entire team. And every time she passed the man whose wallet she'd once found, he would give her a proud nod, the kind a mentor gives to someone he truly believes in. Weeks passed. Lena worked harder than she ever had in her life. She arrived before sunrise, stayed long after everyone left, and asked questions no one else bothered to. She didn't have a fancy degree or designer clothes, but what she did have, integrity, empathy, and grit, began to turn heads at Grant Global. Alexander Grant noticed. From his glass office, he'd often see Lena helping the cleaning staff, or staying late to finish others' tasks without being asked. There was something about her, a quiet strength that reminded him of his late wife, who had always believed kindness was the truest form of intelligence. One evening, as most employees left for the weekend, Grant called Lena into his office. "You remind me," he said slowly, "of someone I lost a long time ago." She believed goodness was stronger than ambition. Lena smiled softly. "I just try to do what feels right, sir." He nodded, thoughtful. "Keep doing that. In this world, it's rare." Months turned into a year. Lena's internship turned into a full-time position, then a promotion. She became known across departments for her honesty, her compassion, and for something that couldn't be taught, genuine humanity. But she never forgot where she came from. Every payday, she sent money back home to her mother. Every weekend, she volunteered at the same shelter she once depended on during her hardest days. One December morning, just before Christmas, Grant called her into his office again. This time, his tone was different. He looked tired. His once steady hands trembled slightly. "Lena," he said quietly, "I'm stepping down." She blinked. "Sir, what? Why?" He smiled faintly. "Health, mostly. But also it's time. I built this company with my mind. I want to leave it in the hands of someone who will lead with their heart." Then he slid a folder across the desk, the same way he once slid that envelope a year ago. Inside was a single document. Vice President of Community Initiatives, Lena Carter. Lena froze. "Sir, I can't—" "Yes, you can," he interrupted gently. "When I lost faith in humanity, you reminded me why I started all this. You didn't just return a wallet, Lena. You returned something much greater, my belief in people." Tears rolled down her cheeks. A few weeks later, Grant retired quietly, leaving behind a legacy of wealth and a successor who would carry his values into the future. Lena took her new role with humility and passion. Her first act wasn't a boardroom change or a new product launch. It was a scholarship program. She named it the Integrity Initiative, dedicated to helping honest, hardworking students who just needed a chance. Each year, dozens of young people received full tuition, just like she once did. And every time Lena signed a scholarship letter, she remembered that rainy night, the wallet, the hunger, the decision to do what was right. One evening, years later, she visited the same coffee shop where her life had changed. The owner recognized her instantly and smiled. "Never thought I'd see our little barista turn into a world changer," he said warmly. Lena laughed softly. "Neither did I." As she stepped outside, she looked up at the glowing skyscrapers and whispered a quiet thank you to the rain,